The cage sat in the middle of Silver Creek's town square, made of wood and iron, small, too small for a grown person to stand up in. Inside was a girl, maybe 16 years old. Her name was Emma Cole. She was curled up tight. Her dress was dirty. Her face was red from the sun. Her lips were cracked and bleeding. She had been in that cage for 2 whole days. People walked past her. Some stopped to look. Some pointed. Some laughed. No one helped. The sign on the cage said, "Thief, liar, troublemaker." Emma didn't look at anyone anymore. She just closed her eyes and tried not to think about how thirsty she was, how hungry, how much her back hurt from sitting in that tiny space. Silver Creek was a mining town in Colorado. It was 1875. The mines brought gold. Gold brought people. And people brought trouble. The town was run by a man named Victor Kane. He owned the biggest mine. He owned the general store. He owned the saloon. He owned most of the buildings. Victor Kane also owned the law in Silver Creek. The sheriff did what Victor wanted. The judge did what Victor wanted. Everyone did what Victor wanted. Because if you didn't, you ended up like Emma, in a cage. Or worse. Emma had worked at Victor's house. She cleaned. She cooked. She did whatever Mrs. Kane told her to do. But then something happened. Something bad. And Victor Kane said Emma was a thief. He said she stole from him. He put her in this cage to teach everyone a lesson. That's what he told people. But it wasn't the truth. On the 3rd day, Emma stopped moving. She just lay there in the cage. Her eyes were open, but they didn't see anything. People thought she might be dying. Some felt bad. But no one did anything. Because going against Victor Kane was dangerous. Very dangerous. The sun climbed higher. The heat got worse. Emma's breathing got slower. Then someone walked into the square. A big man. Tall and strong. He wore a leather apron covered in black marks from fire and metal. His name was Thomas Grant. He was the town blacksmith. 45 years old. Quiet. Kept to himself. Never caused trouble. Thomas stopped when he saw the cage. He stared at Emma for a long time. Thomas had seen the cage before. He walked past it every day going to his shop. He always felt bad seeing Emma in there. But he didn't do anything. Like everyone else. But today was different. Today Emma looked like she was dying. Thomas walked closer. He looked at her through the bars. Her eyes were half closed. Her lips moved but no sound came out. "Water," she whispered. "Please." Thomas looked around. People were watching. They knew what he was thinking. And they shook their heads. "Don't do it. Don't help her. Victor won't like it." Thomas took his water bottle from his belt. He opened it. He pushed it through the bars. Emma grabbed it with shaking hands. She drank. Water spilled down her chin. She coughed but kept drinking. "Thank you," she whispered. "Thank you." A woman nearby gasped. "Thomas, what are you doing?" Victor said no one can help her. Thomas didn't answer. He just kept watching Emma drink. A man called out, "You're going to get yourself in trouble, Blacksmith." Thomas finally spoke. His voice was deep and calm. "She's dying. I'm giving her water. That's all." "Victor won't see it that way," the woman said. "He'll punish you too." Thomas looked at the woman, then at the other people watching, then back at Emma in the cage. "I don't care what Victor thinks," Thomas said. "This is wrong. Leaving a child in a cage to die is wrong." The crowd went quiet. No one in Silver Creek talked about Victor Kane like that. Not if they wanted to stay safe. Thomas reached to his belt. He pulled out a heavy hammer. He pulled out a metal tool for breaking things. Emma's eyes got wide. "No," she said. "No, please. They'll kill you for this." "Maybe," Thomas said. "But I can't walk away." He raised the hammer. He hit the lock on the cage. Clang. The sound was loud. Very loud. Everyone in the square heard it. People started backing away. This was bad. This was very bad. Victor Kane would hear about this. Thomas hit the lock again. Clang. It bent but didn't break. "Stop!" a man yelled. "The sheriff is coming." Thomas didn't stop. He hit the lock a 3rd time. Crack. The lock broke. The cage door swung open. Emma crawled out. She fell on the ground. Her legs didn't work. She had been curled up for 3 days. Her body forgot how to stand. Thomas put his tools away. He bent down and picked Emma up. She was so light. Too light for a girl her age. "Put her down!" a voice shouted. Thomas turned. The sheriff was running across the square. His face was red. He was angry. Very angry. "Put the girl back in the cage!" the sheriff yelled. Thomas shook his head. "No, that's an order. I don't take orders from men who let children die," Thomas said. The sheriff stopped. His hand went to his gun. "You're breaking the law, Thomas. I can arrest you." "Then arrest me," Thomas said. "But I'm taking this girl somewhere safe first." The sheriff looked at all the people watching. They were all scared, but some of them looked like they agreed with Thomas, like they thought what Victor did was wrong too. The sheriff's hand moved away from his gun. "Victor's going to hear about this." "Good," Thomas said. "Tell him I said what he did was evil. Tell him I said he should be ashamed." The sheriff's face got even redder, but he didn't stop Thomas. He just watched as Thomas carried Emma away from the square. People whispered. This was the biggest thing to happen in Silver Creek in years. Someone stood up to Victor Kane. Someone broke the rules. And everyone wondered what would happen next. Thomas carried Emma to his shop. It was at the edge of town. A big building made of stone. Inside it was dark and cool. Fire burned in the forge. Tools hung on the walls. Thomas laid Emma on an old cot in the corner. He brought her more water. He brought her bread. She ate slowly. Her hands still shook. "Why did you help me?" Emma asked. Her voice was quiet and rough. Thomas sat down on a stool. He was tired. Breaking that lock took a lot of strength. Carrying Emma took more. "Because it was the right thing to do," he said. "But Victor will punish you now." "I know." Emma looked at him with confused eyes. "Then why?" Thomas was quiet for a moment. He stared at the fire in the forge. The flames danced and moved. 8 years ago," he said slowly, "I had a daughter. Her name was Sarah. She was about your age." Emma listened. She stopped eating. She just watched Thomas's face. "One day," Thomas continued, "Sarah got sick. Very sick. We needed a doctor. But the only doctor in town worked for Victor Kane. He wouldn't come unless we paid a lot of money. More money than I had." Thomas's voice got quieter. "I begged him. I said I would pay him later. I said I would work for free. But he said no. He said Victor didn't help poor people." Emma's eyes filled with tears. She knew how the story ended. "Sarah died 2 days later," Thomas said. His voice broke. "She died because a rich man didn't think her life was worth saving." A tear ran down Thomas's cheek. He wiped it away quickly. "When I saw you in that cage," he said, "dying because Victor decided you didn't matter, couldn't walk away. I couldn't let another child die because of that man." Emma started crying. Real tears. The first tears she had cried since they put her in the cage. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I'm so sorry about Sarah." "It's not your fault," Thomas said. "It's Victor's fault. And men like him." They sat in silence for a while. The only sound was the fire crackling. Outside, they could hear people talking. Word was spreading fast. Thomas broke Emma out of the cage. Victor would find out soon. Finally, Emma spoke again. "I didn't steal from Victor," she said. "I know," Thomas said. Emma looked surprised. "You know?" "I know Victor," Thomas said. "He doesn't put people in cages for stealing. He puts them there for knowing too much." Emma's eyes went wide. How did Thomas know that? "What did you see, Emma?" Thomas asked gently. "What did you see that Victor doesn't want anyone to know?" Emma's hands started shaking again, but not from hunger or thirst, from fear. Emma took a deep breath. Then she told Thomas the truth. "I worked in Victor's house," she said. "I cleaned his office every morning. One day I came in early. Victor was there with another man. A stranger. They didn't see me." She paused. The memory hurt. "The stranger had papers," Emma continued. He said the papers proved Victor was cheating, taking gold from the workers, not paying them what they earned, stealing from his own mine. Thomas leaned forward. This was big, very big. The stranger said he was going to show the papers to the law in Denver. Emma said. To real law, not the sheriff here. What happened? Thomas asked. Emma's voice dropped to a whisper. Victor picked up a metal bar. He hit the stranger. The man fell down. Blood everywhere. Victor hit him again and again until he stopped moving. Thomas felt cold. Murder. Victor Kane murdered someone. What did you do? Thomas asked. I ran, Emma said. I ran back to the kitchen. I pretended I didn't see anything. But Victor knew. He always knows. That night, he said I stole from him. He put me in that cage. He said if I told anyone what I saw, he would kill me. He said the cage would make me too weak to talk. And if I didn't die in there, he would make sure I disappeared after. Tears ran down Emma's face. I thought I was going to die in that cage. I thought no one would help me. Thomas felt anger burning in his chest. Hot like the forge fire. Victor Kane killed a man. Then he tried to kill a girl for seeing it. Where is the body? Thomas asked. I don't know, Emma said. But the papers, I saw where Victor put them. He burned most of them, but he kept a few. He locked them in his safe. I think he wanted to remember that he got away with it. Thomas stood up. His mind was working, thinking hard. If what Emma said was true, Victor Kane needed to face real justice. Not Silver Creek's fake law. Real law from Denver. But first, they needed proof. They needed those papers from Victor's safe. Emma, Thomas said, do you know how to open Victor's safe? Emma shook her head. No. Only Victor knows the combination. Thomas rubbed his face. Then he had an idea. But I know someone who might, Thomas said. Victor's wife, Mrs. Kane. Does she know what her husband did? I don't think so, Emma said. She's scared of him too. He treats her badly. I heard them fighting sometimes. Would she help us if she knew the truth? Emma thought about it. Maybe. She was always kind to me. Before all this happened. Thomas nodded. Then we need to talk to her. Tonight. Before Victor comes for me. The sun went down. Silver Creek got dark. Lanterns glowed in windows. People locked their doors. Everyone was nervous. They all knew Thomas broke Emma out of the cage. They all knew Victor would be angry. Thomas waited until the streets were empty. Then he told Emma to stay hidden in his shop. He gave her a blanket. He made sure the door was locked. I'll be back, he said. Don't open the door for anyone but me. Emma nodded. She was scared, but she trusted Thomas. He saved her life. He was the only person who cared. Thomas walked through the dark streets. He wore his black coat. His hammer was on his belt, just in case. Victor Kane's house was the biggest in town. 3 stories tall. White paint. Big porch. It looked beautiful. But Thomas knew ugly things happened inside. Thomas went to the back door. The servant's door. He knocked quietly. A woman answered. She was older. Gray hair. Tired eyes. This was Mrs. Kane. Thomas? She said, surprised. What are you doing here? Victor is looking for you. He's very angry. I know, Thomas said. That's why I came. I need to talk to you. It's important. Mrs. Kane looked nervous. I can't. If Victor finds out. He killed a man, Thomas said quietly. Emma saw it. That's why he put her in the cage. He's trying to cover up murder. Mrs. Kane's face went white. Her hand went to her mouth. Please, Thomas said. Let me in. Just for a minute. I'll explain everything. Mrs. Kane looked behind her. Then she opened the door wider. Thomas stepped inside. Thomas told Mrs. Kane everything. About the stranger with papers. About Victor killing him. About Emma seeing it. About the papers locked in Victor's safe. Mrs. Kane cried. She wasn't surprised. She knew her husband was a bad man. But murder? That was worse than she thought. I can't live with this, she whispered. I can't pretend I don't know. Then help me, Thomas said. Help me get those papers. Help me bring real law here from Denver. Help me stop him." Mrs. Kane was quiet for a long time. She was scared, very scared, but she was also tired. Tired of being married to an evil man. Tired of pretending everything was fine. "The safe is in his office," she said finally. "I know the combination. He thinks I don't. But I watched him open it once." "Will you get the papers for me?" Thomas asked. Mrs. Kane nodded slowly. "Yes, but we have to hurry." Victor went to the saloon. "He'll be home soon." They went to Victor's office. It was dark. Big desk. Leather chairs. Everything expensive. The safe was behind a painting on the wall. Mrs. Kane moved the painting. Her hands shook as she turned the dial. Click, click, click. The safe opened. Inside were bags of gold, money, and papers. Lots of papers. Mrs. Kane looked through them quickly. Her eyes got wide when she found what they needed. "These are it," she whispered. "These papers show Victor stealing from the workers. And this." She held up one paper covered in dark brown stains. "This has blood on it." Thomas took the papers carefully. "This is enough. This will prove everything." Suddenly, they heard the front door open. Heavy footsteps. Victor was home. "He's early," Mrs. Kane gasped. "You have to go. Now." "What about you?" Thomas asked. "I'll be fine. I'll pretend I was sleeping." "Go. Before he finds you." Thomas ran. He went out the back door just as Victor walked up the stairs. The night swallowed him. He ran through the streets back to his shop. When he got there, Emma was still hiding. Still safe. "Did you get them?" she asked. Thomas held up the papers. "We got them." Emma smiled. The first real smile since this whole thing started. "Now what?" she asked. "Now we ride to Denver," Thomas said. "We take these papers to the federal marshal, the real law, and we make sure Victor Kane answers for what he did." But before they could pack, they heard something. Horses. Lots of horses. Coming fast. Thomas looked out the window. His heart sank. Victor was coming, and he brought 10 men with him. Victor Kane sat on his horse. His face was red with anger. 10 men surrounded him. Some were miners. Some were just men who did whatever Victor paid them to do. They stopped in front of Thomas's shop. "Thomas Grant," Victor yelled. "Come out here. You're going to pay for what you did." Inside, Emma was terrified. "What do we do?" Thomas thought fast. They couldn't fight 10 men, but they couldn't give up either. Not when they had proof of Victor's crimes. "Go out the back," Thomas told Emma. "Take these papers. Run to the church. Father Murphy will hide you. He's a good man. Victor can't hurt you in a church." "What about you?" Emma asked. "I'll keep them busy," Thomas said. "Now go." Emma didn't want to leave him, but she knew this was their only chance. She took the papers. She ran out the back door into the darkness. Thomas walked out the front door. He faced Victor and his men. He stood tall, not scared, just tired of evil men winning. "Where's the girl?" Victor demanded. "Gone," Thomas said. "Gone where?" "Somewhere you'll never find her." Victor's face got angrier. "You made a big mistake, Blacksmith. I warned this town what happens when people cross me." "You murdered a man," Thomas said loudly. Loud enough for everyone to hear. "You killed him for having proof that you're a thief. And then you tried to kill Emma for seeing it." The men with Victor looked at each other. Some of them didn't know about the murder. They thought they were just helping their boss catch a thief. "He's lying," Victor yelled. "Don't listen to him." But doubt was growing. People were starting to wonder. "I'm not lying," Thomas said. "And soon everyone will know the truth. Emma has the proof. The papers from your safe. They show everything you did. How you stole from your workers. How you killed to hide it. It's over, Victor." Victor pulled out his gun. "If it's over, then you're coming with me." But before he could shoot, someone else spoke. "Put the gun down, Victor." Everyone turned. Mrs. Kane stood there. She came from the house. She walked right into the middle of everything. "Put it down," she said again. "I'm tired of this. I'm tired of you. I'm tired of pretending you're a good man when you're a monster. Victor stared at his wife. He couldn't believe it. She never talked back to him. Never stood up to him. Go back in the house, Victor said through his teeth. No, Mrs. Kane said. I'm done taking orders from you. These people need to know who you really are. What you really did. She turned to the crowd of men. He did kill someone. A man came with proof that Victor was stealing. Victor hit him with a metal bar until he died. I found blood on the floor of his office. I pretended I didn't see it because I was scared. But I can't pretend anymore. The men with Victor started backing away. Murder was different from business. They didn't want to be part of this. You're all traitors, Victor screamed. Every one of you. But no one listened anymore. They saw the truth now. Victor Kane wasn't a powerful man. He was just a scared murderer trying to hide his crimes. The sheriff finally showed up. But this time he didn't help Victor. Too many people knew the truth now. He couldn't pretend anymore either. Victor Kane, the sheriff said. You're under arrest for murder. Victor tried to run. But Thomas and two other men grabbed him. He fought and yelled. But it didn't matter. His power was gone. They locked Victor in his own jail. The same jail where he locked so many innocent people. Emma came back with Father Murphy and the papers. She gave them to the sheriff. But the sheriff didn't know what to do with them. He was used to Victor telling him what to do. So Thomas said, we send them to Denver, to the federal marshal. Let real law decide what happens. The sheriff agreed. He had no choice. 3 weeks later, a federal marshal came from Denver. He was a tall man with gray hair and serious eyes. He looked at the papers. He talked to Emma. He talked to Mrs. Kane. He talked to Thomas. Then he talked to Victor in his jail cell. When he came out, he told the whole town, Victor Kane will be taken to Denver to stand trial for murder. If found guilty, he'll hang. The town was quiet. Then someone started clapping. Then another person. Then everyone. Victor had ruled Silver Creek with fear for years. Now his rule was over. After Victor was taken away to Denver, things changed in Silver Creek. Slowly, but they changed. Mrs. Kane gave the mine back to the workers. She said she didn't want money made from Victor's crimes. The workers made the mine into something fair. Everyone got paid what they earned. The sheriff tried to stay. But people remembered how he helped Victor hurt innocent folks. He left town before they could throw him out. A new sheriff came. Fair one. One who believed in real law. And Emma? Emma stayed with Thomas. He had a big shop with extra rooms. She needed a safe place. He needed someone to help him not feel so alone. First, it was strange. Thomas wasn't used to having someone around. Emma wasn't used to someone being kind. But slowly they became family. Not father and daughter exactly, but something close. Thomas taught Emma how to work with metal, how to heat it in the forge until it glowed, how to hammer it into new shapes, how to make something useful from hard, cold iron. Emma learned fast. She was smart. Her hands were small but strong. She made horseshoes. She made nails. She even made a beautiful gate for the church. On quiet evenings, they sat outside the shop. They watched the sun go down over the mountains. They didn't talk much. They didn't need to. Thomas still missed Sarah. He always would. But having Emma around helped. It didn't erase the pain. Nothing could do that. But it made the pain a little easier to carry. One day, a letter came from Denver. It was about Victor's trial. Thomas read it out loud to Emma. Victor Kane was found guilty of murder. He was also found guilty of stealing from his workers. The judge sentenced him to hang. Emma didn't smile. She didn't cheer. She just nodded. Is it wrong that I don't feel happy? She asked. No, Thomas said. Taking a life isn't something to celebrate. Even when it's justice. Even when they deserve it. I just feel tired, Emma said. Tired of all the bad things that happened. Me too, Thomas said. But bad things ending is still good. Even if it doesn't feel happy. Feels like relief. Like we can finally breathe again. Emma thought about that. Then she smiled a little. Yeah, like breathing again. That's a good way to say it. 6 months passed. Then a year. Silver Creek became a different town. Better. Fairer. People weren't afraid anymore. They could speak up when something was wrong. They could help each other without worrying about punishment. Emma grew taller. Stronger. She stopped having nightmares about the cage. The memories didn't go away. They would always be there. But they got quieter. Like old scars that don't hurt anymore. Thomas smiled more. Not all the time. But sometimes. Especially when Emma made a perfect horseshoe on her first try. Or when she told a joke that actually made him laugh. They built a good life. A simple life. Working in the shop. Eating meals together. Taking care of each other. One evening, Emma asked Thomas something she'd been thinking about for a long time. Why did you really save me? Was it just because of Sarah? Thomas thought about his answer. He wanted to be honest. At first, he said, yes, I saw you in that cage and I thought of Sarah. I thought about how I couldn't save her. And I thought maybe I could save you instead. He paused. The fire in the forge crackled. But then I learned who you really were, Thomas continued. Not just a girl in a cage, but someone brave. Someone who stood up against evil even when it was dangerous. Someone who survived when everything tried to break you. And I realized, I didn't save you. We saved each other. Emma's eyes filled with tears. But they were good tears. Happy tears. Thank you, she said. For everything. For seeing me when no one else did. For believing me. For giving me a home. Thank you, Thomas said back. For trusting me. For staying. For helping me remember that good things can still happen. Even after loss. They sat together by the fire. The flames danced and glowed. Outside, Silver Creek was quiet and peaceful. Maybe that's what justice really is. Not just punishing bad people, but building something good after they're gone. Making sure their victims can heal, can grow, can find family again. Maybe that's what home really is. Not a place, but people who see you, who believe you, who choose you even when it's hard. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is help someone when everyone says you shouldn't. Sometimes standing up for what's right costs you everything. But sometimes, just sometimes, it costs you nothing and gives you everything. If you were Thomas, would you have broken that lock? Would you have risked your life for a stranger? And if you were Emma, could you trust again after everything that happened? Take a moment. Think about it. Pour yourself some tea or coffee and let this story sit with you. If the story touched your heart, share it with someone who needs to remember that good people still exist. That courage still matters. That sometimes, the smallest act of kindness can change everything. What time is it where you are? Where are you listening from? Tell us in the comments. Because stories like this remind us that even in the darkest times, even when evil seems to win, there are still people willing to stand in the gap, to break the locks, to free the captives, to save each other.